Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar, where we get to sit down and talk with interesting professional guitar players and related music industry experts. If you love playing guitar, stick around. You're in the right place. Hey, this is Craig, and I just wanted to give you an update. Over the last 9 months, in large part because of your listener support, we've managed to build this show into one of the top guitar and human interest podcasts online. As a result, we now have openings for a select group of businesses to advertise on and sponsor this show. And I thought you, as a listener, would be in the best position to make recommendations to business owner friends of yours who might benefit from advertising here on the Everyone Loves Guitar show. So if you know a business owner who might profit from advertising on this show, have them connect with me by going to everyonelovesguitar.com/advertising. Again, that's everyonelovesguitar.com/advertising. I'd love to have a brief conversation with them to see how we might be able to help. Thanks for your help, and now let's get on with the show. Hey, everybody, this is Craig Garber from Everyone Loves Guitar, and we have a really great guitar player with us today. Super nice guy and just a beautiful player. He's pretty well known online as well. We're with Michal Kulbaka. He was originally from Poland, started playing guitar at age 12. His first guitar was an old, battered acoustic guitar. And he actually got it when his dad traded a bottle of strong Polish vodka for it. I hope it was a small bottle because it was all battered. I hope it wasn't a giant fifth. And then the John Mayall and Eric Clapton Beano record basically changed Michal's life. He really got into playing in the blues then. At 15, he started his first band called The Staff, and they were playing in local pubs with older musicians. The band actually won second place in a local band's talent contest in Poland. A year later, at 16, Michal and the Staff toured Germany, and they played an international open-air festival near the town of Lorach, close to the French and Swiss border. They shared the stage with the U.S. band DOA and many well-known acts in Europe. When they went back to Poland, they played support to one of Poland's biggest acts. I can't even save me when pronounced was Kazik
Staszewski.
Thank you. A man's got to know his limitations. And his supergroup Cult. Michal played to nearly 5,000 people at this show. In 2006, Michal moved to Ireland. He began playing sessions and supporting local acts on tours. Late in 2008, he started a new group called Solar Flux, along with his brothers Marcin on bass and Adam on drums. Solar Flux has been playing around Dublin for the last 3 years in clubs such as the Mez and Fibbers McGee's. In early 2011, Michael joined Lancelot Lynx, and I want to spell that for you because check them out. They're a great heavy metal band. It's Lancelot, like Lancelot, Lynx, Lynx. And they're a heavy metal group from Kilkenny. And in late 2012, they went to Track Mix Studio in Dublin. They recorded a 12-track album titled No Time to Die. It is a great classic rock LP. To me, it's kind of like mid-'80s Gary Moore stuff. More melodic, though, and less speed for speed's sake, at least in my opinion. After a long hunt for a record label, Lancelot Lynx signed a record deal with the Leaders Records, and they released the album finally in 2014, followed by great reviews from Metal Hammer, Power Play, Power Metal, and many more. In 2013, Michael went back to school to Brighton Institute of Modern Music in Dublin, and then he graduated in 2017, which I think is really cool. And in 2015, he teamed up with lead vocalist David Byrne. They started writing original material. Out of this, his band Samarkind was born, and it's Samarkind, and they began recording at Westland Studios in Dublin, which is a pretty famous place over there, with producer Alwyn Walker. The album was released late last year. It's called Black Rain. The band is again Samarkind. The album was voted number 10 of the top 20 albums of 2017 by Planet Rock. We'll be talking about it today. Let me tell you, it is a phenomenal hard rock record. These guys sound, first of all, it was really interesting because Michal's got tons of videos online, and like he'll do Stevie Ray Vaughan stuff or Freddie King stuff. And he's got great tone, great vibrato, and just a very soulful player. And he's everything's got his own spin on it, you know. But when I heard the original stuff, it absolutely blew me away. And I hate to compare people, but these are good comparisons. First of all, Michal is the first guy I've ever heard who plays like Michael Schenker, which is like, you know, he's a top of the top of the top, you know. And I'm not saying he sounds like him, but he's similar in style as far as it's his own, totally his own stuff. But he plays these really fast runs, but they're all so melodic. And then David Byrne, lead singer, man, he sounds like Ian Gillan and David Coverdale, which I've never heard any singers sound like that. Again, they're not imitations of that by a long shot, but I'm trying to give you an idea of what the music's like. Great band. I would really encourage you to check out their album. It's called Black Rain, and the name of the band again is Samarkand. Michal, thanks so much for coming on the show, man. I appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you. How are you doing, guys? Thanks for having me, Craig, as well on the show. I'm actually. The album is not called Black Rain. It's just basically self-titled album. Samarkand.
Oh, why did I think it was called Black Rain? I'm so sorry.
I just spotted it there now, so sorry. I didn't even notice.
I thought it was called Black Rain. My bad. I'm totally sorry. It's just Samarkand.
You got this little correction there. So yeah.
When your interviewer is an idiot, this is what happens.
That happens.
You and both of your brothers and you are all musicians. Did you guys come from musical parents?
Not really. Like, but my parents, like, you know, they grew up in the, you know, end of 60s, 70s, you know, back in Poland, which was the behind the Iron Curtain. So, you know, it was kind of hard to get music over there. Like even the Beatles album everything kind of was tricky even to buy those records, because you get them, like, I don't know, even with a couple of years of delay through friends and friends and friends, somebody just passed the vinyl, because it's just hard to get any Western music. But what happened in Poland was back in the 60s, 70s, like, you know, a lot of young people, they copied the music from the West, you know, but for a reason, like, or, you know, political reason, they couldn't call it rock and roll, they called it big beat and stuff like that, you know. So, like, when, for example, give you an example, like when there was the Beatles out, like the Beatles were out in, let's say, 1960s, we had bands that they copied that kind of music and that kind of stuff, and very similar style, you know. And the same, like, with even, you know, like with the, I don't know, Blues Breakers or trying to think about the name of the bands of the 60s, but, you know, like Cream, or, yeah. So we would have band like Breakout that would sound very similar to Cream, and that sense, Bobby, more a little bit bluesier, like the Blues Breakers. But, you know, they listened they had those influences. So that's what my parents would probably listen back then. And we always had some, like, rock kind of, you know, rock and roll records at home. I remember, like, my mom used to listen Elvis Presley, which was what the first probably music that I always loved it when I started listening to it. You know what I mean? So Elvis and the Shadows, you know, when I heard it, Hank Marvin, you know, the Strats, I was in love when I heard this kind of clean guitar. You know what I mean? So I think that's what got me to that kind of music.
Very cool. And so, how does it? It's weird that all three. So, is your two other brothers professional musicians as well?
No, they're playing for a hobby, but they used to. What happens, because they're older a few years than me, so they start playing the local bands, you know. And we always had some guitars, like they were given from my older cousins that they tried to play it, you know what I mean. And then they passed on the instruments to us, so we just kind of like had a couple of basses and the guitars laying around the house. And I actually never really wanted to learn how to play guitar, but then when I grew up, from like about around 11, 12, my dad got me that guitar from his friend for a bottle of vodka.
That's so funny.
So he was laughing to me. He was saying to me, like, well, you know, when you learn how to play guitar, I'll buy you strings, stuff like that. Take a bit of piss from me. But what happened is my brother bought me the strings, and he put them on the guitar. My oldest brother plays bass, actually. So what happens is I started playing chords, and, you know, when I started playing, I fell in love with it, and till today I keep playing, like, you know. So I have never stopped.
That's awesome.
To play guitar, you know. So that's my and then after that, I never really kind of thought of doing anything else, to be honest.
That's great. Did how tough was it? Like, did you have to be secretive about the kind of music you were playing as you were growing up because of the communist regime?
No, see, 'cause when I grew up, right, it was well already gone. You know, it was kind of, when I started playing, it was already like late 90s. Okay. Sort of a start of 2000s, you know. So you got all that music there back then, you know. It's just still hard to get some records like Eric Gallagher. If someone wasn't known enough, you know what I mean, it was hard to find albums like that. I remember Stevie Ray Vaughan even. My brother brought me cassette of Texas Flood, actually, and he bought it for maybe a day or two from his friend, and I never seen it again for 2 years. And then he found my cousin have a CD like that, so he just gave it to me, and that's how I started playing Stevie Ray Vaughan songs. But I couldn't find it in the shop, and then literally next year or a year or two after, you were able to get Stevie Ray Vaughan's record. So it was a little bit hard at the start to get this kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But like we used to have at home, like, you know, I remember my brother loves Appetite for Distraction, so he was just playing over and over and over and over. So I heard his music, like even, you know, Nirvana or Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin. It was always in the house, like, you know.
Right. It's funny, you know, growing up in America, it's hard for a lot of people, I would imagine, to like believe that you know, that lack of accessibility, man, and you know, it makes me feel, you know, kind of lucky that that we have these things here, you know.
I think because like see, what I heard from countries like, I don't know, Hungary or Yugoslavia back then, they were a little bit more the governments there, they were a little bit easy on that kind of culture, like music, you know, like music like that. So I think they have more bands than we had at the time. But I think from the bands that we had some really great rock bands and blues bands, and even jazz music. Like if you were checking out Polish jazz music from the 60s, it's actually quite amazing. So I think that didn't stop people still playing this kind of stuff. I think it actually made them more to
more determined.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Let me ask you, you know, about 8 or 9 or maybe even 10 years ago, David Gilmour did this massive, I think, like outdoor concert in Poland. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, with orchestra.
Yeah. And it was very significant for like Poland or for the Polish people. What was this? Why was it so significant? Because I always was really interested in that, and I just didn't know why.
I think it was as far as I remember, I think it was like it was about the solidarity.
Yes.
Guys and that kind of stuff. I think pretty much, because I remember it was a sort of an anniversary of solidarity or whatever, the freedom we got back then or whatever happened.
Okay.
I think the guys from you know, Roger Waters and probably David Gilmour, they kind of follow all those movements like that in the world back in the day. So I think they were just probably maybe paid a tribute to it, you know, because it was a big deal in Europe, I think, back then. You know?
Okay, thanks.
The solidarity and the you know, Berlin Wall.
It's funny. Do you know a guy? You ever heard of this guy, A.G. Weinberger?
No, actually, no.
You mentioned Romania. He's like a Romanian blues guy. And he's actually coming on here next week. And he grew up total communism, and he had to like apply to the government to get him to allow them to play blues.
Really?
Yeah, it was like hardcore there, man. It's an interesting story.
Yeah, like funny enough, back in the 50s, and you know, when the Stalin was alive, like, you know, when the jazz music was around already in Europe, and after World War II, like it was actually, I think, banned in Poland and you know, Russia itself and all the Eastern Bloc. You know, you couldn't play jazz. It's kind of after when he died, there was a little bit sort of a breeze, like them, you know, it was. People could actually buy records, and they started importing a little bit more, and you know, play a little bit more music. But before that, it was very strict in the Stalinism days, you know. So you couldn't actually, if you had played that kind of type of music, you know, you'd be probably ended up in jail.
Wow, it's amazing.
Yeah, so it was quite like in Germany during the World War II. You couldn't listen to that kind of Western music, you know.
Yeah.
So that was the problem, probably, you know.
Wow.
But, yeah.
Hey, you moved to Ireland in 2006. I guess you were probably around 20.
Yeah.
What prompted that move?
Because see, my two older brothers, they were already here, and because like when we joined the EU, like the early 2000s, you know, the economy in Poland was really bad, and you know, like there was a bit of a struggle for everyone, like, you know, with the money and stuff like that. So a lot of people just decided to move, and they moved like countries like Germany, Holland, England, Ireland. You know what I mean? They just basically migrated from economic. Oh yeah, my brother just moved over there, and then what happened is, you know, I just finished school, and there was not much work for me because I was just young and didn't have experience, and you know, all the companies around us, which is not many there because it's a small city, it's about 25,000 people, so there's only 2 major places you could find the work. So you know, I was a little bit too young and, you know, unexperienced for them, so it's very hard to even move on with life. So I decided, because they were already there, I just said, like, look, I'm just gonna go for a year and see what happens, you know. And because of also of the, you know, music scene in Ireland, you know, Tunisia and all that stuff, Gary Moore, I was always interested in all that, to see that and maybe go over and play it, you know. So it was kind of like music and also, you know, trying to start your life. I think so at that time.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. If you are in the entertainment business, there's no taxes in Ireland, correct?
Yes, you have to pay taxes.
I thought if you are, oh no, it's if you write or if you earn royalties or earn money from writing or publishing information, there's no taxes in Ireland.
There is, but I think there's a threshold. I think there's a threshold. Depends how much money you make from that.
Okay. Yeah.
If you go certain thresholds of the earnings of a year, I think you have to declare it. But I think because a lot of artists, the big names, kind of moves here as well, because it's much lower taxes than I'd say in the UK or France or countries like that. Sure. That's why I think Ronnie Wood lives over here. I think in Ireland.
Right.
So I think so. I'm not sure 100%, but I know I've heard before that that's one of the reasons.
Yeah. Okay. So I thought it was really cool that after, being a really good guitar player and playing for so long, you went back to school to study guitar at around age 27, as an adult. I think that's hard to do. It took a lot of discipline. And I was curious what was behind your decision to do that.
I just wanted to get sort of a degree and get better on the guitar, learn more about harmony and, other things like techniques and stuff like that. Like I had, because I was basically most of my life just self-taught, so I learned music through playing, records and trying to transcribe stuff and pick it up by ear and figure it out myself. I spent a lot of time doing that, but I didn't. Back home, I had a sort of a limited sources to get books like that and stuff like that, and they cost a lot of money, So I wasn't able to do that, and over here when they opened BIM, and I was already learning for I think 2-3 years. It was a great opportunity for me to just try and go there and see what I can do, which actually improved my playing a lot. I found myself now a little bit better musician, generally speaking, and also what is great about that college is that they not only teach you how to play and get better on your instrument, all that kind of stuff, but they also teach you all the sides of business and how to manage yourself as an artist.
That's really good.
So it's not only you just go learn how to play say jazz or pop music and that's it, but they also teach you all the other sides of being a musician. So what they're trying to give you all the tools so you can become a pro musician basically.
So you could run your business.
You can run a business. You can be session guitars and how to manage your career and all that kind of stuff. Which is really kind of useful stuff over the last 4 years.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And also there was a guy. He's still playing around. His name is Jimmy Smith. Because he was teaching there at that time. I was interested to kind of see him playing because he was a really he was the kind of guy you could learn from him a lot. Even watching him just sing showing you just how to play jazz standard or just how to go around about harmony and stuff like that. It was really interesting. So there was a couple of really good teachers that you could just kind of learn a lot from them, even just watching stuff and how they do things and how they play and and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for you to do that. It's tough going back to school as an adult, especially with something that you have a fairly good competency in. I think it takes a lot of you're obviously not very ego driven, you just wanted to learn, and that's what's important to you, which is great. Yeah. I
think the hardest thing I found for myself was just writing essays and that kind of stuff in English. You know what I mean? Because God, language by listening and just picking up by the ear mostly. I can write in English, it's fine, the same way as we speak. But in terms of putting sentences in a sort of academic way, it's really hard for me. And also it was a funny time in my life because my dad just passed away. There's a lot of things going on back home, and I was working full time and trying to study. I was just mad, just running around. So didn't get my chance to kind of sit down really and sometimes work on things that they were teaching us there. But I found even picking up the bits and pieces, I was able to put it all together and make myself a little bit better. Do you know what I mean?
That's really good, man. I'm happy you did that, and I'm sorry about the loss of your dad, man.
Yeah, it was so it was a funny time at that time. I was just it was just crazy time, I would say. I'm actually surprised that I managed the whole 4 years and be able to do that.
Yeah, but that kind of shit gives you the confidence to get through tougher stuff, because you get thrown a lot more shit at you as you keep living. It's just the way it is. So that's good.
But I think But it was a good drive for me because I know, like my dad, for example, he would love to see me doing that, and he would love to see me moving toward that direction. You know what I mean? I think also give me sort of a little bit more drive to not thinking about all those, you know, whatever the sad moment like that. But you know what I mean? So I just give me really buzz to just, you know, keep going and keep working on it. You know,
Good for
and I
you.
think that's the most important thing, because all the worries, they just kind of go away then. You know.
Yeah. Good for you, man.
Cool.
Hey, how'd you meet David Byrne, and like, what was the vibe you guys had that convinced you to start a band? Because, you know, usually if you meet a guy that's another guitar player or a bass player, it's an easy vibe to pick out, hey, let's do some stuff together. But I think with a vocalist, there's a bit of a leap of faith involved.
Yeah, like, you know, some of them, what happened is, like, when I was playing my brothers, for example, we were struggling to find a good singer, you know what I mean, to put a band together. So we mostly play, you know, as instrumental pieces and stuff like that. But when I met Dave, it was really funny because he messaged me on Facebook and he's like, oh, man, you know, my name is Dave, how you doing? I like you playing, and, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So then we met for a jam with two other guys, just jammed a couple of ideas that we had in the head. And then I haven't heard from him for about 6 months.
Oh, really?
So then he came back to me again, and, you know, we just started putting tunes together, meeting again, just trying to write a couple of riffs. He got a couple of vocal ideas and stuff like that. And then I was more like, yeah, let's go. Let's work on the songs. Let's put them together. Let's work on the demos, and let's get all kind of, you know, ready, done for recording, you know. But he just like, no, man, we're going to do it the old way. So it's all going to be like on the day, you know, just makes, you know, magic happen. You know what I mean? So, like, it's funny. We went to the studio and we started, the guy that runs Westland Studio, which is actually very amazing. Like, it's an amazing place with a lot of history, like Tunisia, and, you know, I think Bob Dylan and Stones were recording there, and a lot of famous people.
So this would cost you a lot of money to do this.
Yes, but I was always afraid of that. I was like, Jesus, you know, that's a big project. You know, I don't know. We didn't expect what's going to be the outcome. You know what I mean? So, like, so went to the studio, right? We talked with Owen, he's the producer of that album as well, and he works in the studio there. So he said, like, look, guys, do you have the tunes ready? And we're like, not really. So it's like a couple of riffs, put it together, just basic structures, like, you know, you're not even rehearsed properly. And I think he kind of got a little bit annoyed at the start, Owen, because he was like, lads, you know, most of the bands, they come in prepared, they know the shit, and just come in and they record, you know. And Dave was like, oh, man, don't worry, like, you know, it will all happen, you know. So me and Owen were kind of getting a little bit afraid that, you know, we might not going to even finish the song sometimes, you know, because you never know what's going to happen. So eventually, like, we started recording, we went through the songs, you know, and it started happening. Like, for example, Sunstroke, which is the single, you can see it on YouTube, the video of it as well. I didn't have parts for that for a very long time. It was one of the last probably songs or riffs that I put in together with the main riff that is at the start. So you can imagine how it was. So even the solo part was basically done on the spot. So I just came up with the chord progressions. So I think that works. And then I tried a couple, you know, solos over it, and then next day I said to one, you know, I'm actually tired. I don't think I'm going to come up with anything good. So I went home, sat down, wrote the solo sort of around it, and then next day we just, you know, lashed up the takes, and that's how we put it. And the same, like, even the second verse, we didn't have that. It was just basically same riff going in over and over, but we just, like, I came up with this part on the bass, and that's how we make the things around that. So, you know, at the end, just turns out a, you know, amazing track. So it was, wow. Yeah, it was a really funny process. Like, a lot of things happen on the day. Like, you know, sometimes even like in terms of like Black Rain, that track, right? Dave, he said to me basically, look, man, I have this idea, right? So he sang it to me, and he played B, E, and E. You know what I mean? But without any rhythm, just basically basic chords, just strums once. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. So I didn't, like, for a while I didn't know what to put it around it. And then for some reason I was listening to some I think it was a Cannonball soundtrack from that movie, or whatever was the name of it, some country stuff anyway. And I heard that rhythm, like, you know, I'm just thinking like, oh yeah, that sounds kind of like Love Struck Baby by Stevie Ray Vaughan, and that kind of country rock and roll type of thing. So then I came up with a riff around that, you know, and then with the drummer that we had at the time, you know, I asked him to try to this kind of rhythm, and it kind of worked out, and we just took it from there, and then that's how the song became.
So everything just like sort of worked.
Yeah, everything worked, which is really funny. Like even like Good Man's Cold, that song was another
song.
Just 3 chords type of thing. Dave comes in with the melody and it's like, that's the tune. That's what I have in my head. And yeah, and then we start working on it, and from basically being just an acoustic track at the start, it become a big song. Do you know what I mean? Like for the album.
Yeah, it's
so a lot of we spent a lot of time on like getting different guitar sounds, and so yeah, I think that experience Westland was really amazing compared to the one that I had before
with Lancelot Lynx.
Yeah. Because then with the last, we just basically went to the studio. Everything was rehearsed. Everything was like the pre-production was done. We just went to the studio and basically in 12 days just banged the tunes, down, and that's what we did. Which here was like, it took a lot of time because Western studios could be sometimes very busy, and to find even a day or 2 or 3 days or 4 days, it's very rare. Yeah. You know what I mean? So we were just basically going for 1 month. Let's say in March we did maybe 4 days, and then in April we come back for 1 day just to do even the amp sounds. Just wrote out the settings of the amps, and then back again in May and do another couple of days, 5 days. So it's really hard. It wasn't like recorded in one go, which I think was great as well, because you can then listen back to the tracks and actually go like, I don't like that part, I don't think it doesn't work, and that kind of stuff. So we're able to take out the parts, or write the new parts, stuff like that, or re-record it, which with the other album was just like, that's it, that's done, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's a great experience. That's tough to say.
The stuff that you made up on the fly, did you then have to go back and learn it so that when you play it live, you're sounding a little bit close to the record?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. So like, because it took a few months even to get the album mixed, and there was a couple of mixes and all the mastering. We were, sort of happy with it, but I think it wasn't there yet. Because we were looking for something different than other bands have today, the rock bands, So
hey, the mixes is fucking fantastic, man.
That's Owen's job. Yeah.
Oh my god, it is so clean. I mean, it's just he did an amazing job. It's perfect, man. It's like so freaking clean. It's really great.
Yeah, like he's a great studio engineer as well, and producer, and that's at the same time. You know what I mean? But yeah, we had to kind of keep a pulse on him as well, like, to try to get what we want as well, because sometimes what happens is with guys that work in the studio, they have certain ways they work, and they want you to do it that way. But Owen, what I love about Owen, that he's very open-minded, and he's open for suggestions and trying out the things,
That's great.
So even the clock is still ticking. He's like, no, let's try it out, because he wants to always make sure that the album that he makes it's bang on, So that was great. And like I said, a lot of stuff that we playing it now live, like we kind of improvise the songs as well a lot, what I mean? We stretch out some sections. I might, for Good Man Cold, I might gonna do like a big outro solo and stuff like that. But a lot of times, like when I had, the mixing took a couple and mastering a couple of months actually, because trying to get Owen as well, and I was very busy at that time. But we took a time with it, and when we started playing live, it was like, actually, I don't remember how I played those songs.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I had to sit down and relearn the parts and make them work for life, which is really funny, because then you go like, what exactly I was playing there? Because it's gone.
Yeah,
Like for example, the Sunstroke, that lead part, the solo part from it, I had to actually watch myself and what I was doing on the video in the studio to see what I was actually playing, because I wasn't able to. I was like, what I was playing that? Like I couldn't figure it out what it was for a while. Like it's just I had to sit down and just watch the video, have listened to it a couple of times. Oh, yeah, that's what it was, and trying to find what I was exactly doing. So yeah, it was a bit mad like that,
So you videoed the whole experience? Somebody was filming?
Yeah, like Owen was filming some of the solos I was doing, some of the riffs I was recording, like just bits and pieces from the studio. Actually, we never released them, but there's a few there, and I just went like because I think for the gig with Inglorious, that was the first gig we did, and that's probably the first time we started rehearsing the stuff. So I really had to really kind of do my homework on it, and just and everything else. Sort of a close the way I'm doing it on the album.
So Dave, has Dave had? It sounds like he's had some studio experience, because he kind of knew. It sounds like he had a vision of what would happen once you guys got in there.
Yeah, I think because like he was around in the 80s, and with his first band as well, like with Assassin. I think working with Eddie Clark, I think he has that experience that just for him was like the shit will happen on the time, on the spot, no matter what. Like and I think that's a great way I think that's a great way of working, because a lot of bands today, they have everything, rehearsed, prepared, and I know because of the money, and then the clock is always running, so you want to get everything done. But I think with this kind of laid back and old school way of going about the things, I think we got some nice results on that album. Do you know what I mean? For the first debut album,
I think you got great results, especially for a debut album. But if you think about it too, it's in a sense older school music in a way. It's not what everybody's playing now. I mean, and I mean that in a very good way, because I love it. So it's funny that you recorded the way that music was. The way guys like Gary Moore and Deep Purple and all those guys made records.
Even in terms of I remember having this conversation with Owen in the studio once. He was like, I know, man, you should put a little bit more gain on your amps and all that kind of stuff. I was like, no, bring it down, just make them crank up and just roll and just track the guitars, so we used a lot of, for example, Strat with the Les Paul on the rhythm guitar, or Telly, or SG on the Goodman's Call, so that you can have the different sort of a spectrum of the sounds, just using your instrument itself, rather than pedals and effects, you know what I mean? So that was a big thing as well. So we went just for classic Marshall sounds, and mostly. And just even Goodman's Call, it's basically cranked up SG through the Vox amp, So no pedals, no effects, just maybe for the lead parts we just put maybe, I don't know, bit of Chip Screamer, that kind of stuff, But that's what I wanted. I wanted just kind of done all the way, so you can actually hear the guitar, how it sounds, rather than just be really reamped, full of gain or whatever. That is not. I don't think it's necessary.
Well, let's talk about some of the songs. But I wanted to say one thing. It's funny how Dave got a hold of you. He messaged you on Facebook. You probably don't remember this, but 2 years ago, I emailed you because I saw you playing. I said, "Hey man, do you give lessons?" And you said,
yeah.
You remember that? It was like 2 years ago, and long before this show, and I said, because I saw your playing, I'm like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. And you said, no, I'm not really giving lessons now. You said, I probably should, but if I do, I'll let you know. Something like, it was very nice, very polite and stuff, and that was so funny. Everybody contacts you online, man.
Because I started actually teaching guitar now as well. So
now.
Yeah, I teach in the school. Teach in the school just a couple of hours a week. So I kind of get more hang of it now. So I know what it's mostly now beginners, but I'm getting my way through it. So I think maybe in a year time I start maybe doing my own YouTube lessons, and maybe if I organize myself, I'll organize it with my sort of a home studio. Do you know what I mean? Get that going, and I try this and see if it works. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens. But I'm interested in giving lessons in the future. Definitely, it's something that I want to work towards as well.
Good. Well, put me first on the list to get a hold of me then.
Yeah, I'll give you the first. I'll let you know.
Good.
Right,
hey,
no
let's talk about some of the tracks. I want to talk about 3 tracks that were my favorites on the album. Black Rain, opening track, really cool. To me, it's like a hard rock, sort of a Western song. It's really moving. I got the vision of galloping, it's really moving along. And you opened that up with, was that a dobro?
Actually, what it was, as far as I remember, we used guitar named, I think it was an old Japanese 70s guitar named Westbury or something like that. Had Tommy Iommi's pickup in the bridge, and then we plugged that in through Dan Electro little amp, like a practice amp from the 60s. I think it was a 64 Dan Electro amp.
He had all this stuff lying around the studio?
Yeah, he has loads of old cool stuff like that. So I think it was with the Chip Screamer, and we mic'd it up directly, and we mic'd also just the strings on the guitar, so you get that kind of almost acoustic sound. That was actually Owen's brilliant idea, because you just like an only electric guitar, but you also hear the strings kind of ringing as well. Just the strings.
Really clever, man. I thought it was like a dobro or a banjo. It sounded great, man.
If you blend them together, it sounds a bit like acoustic guitar, maybe with the through the amp and drive, but that's what it was. It was just basically, and that amp was. It's really old amp, and you get electric shocks from it and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, and the rhythm tracks were just basically recorded with the Telecaster, Mexican Baja Telecaster. And then I used the capo on it as well, and then for certain getting different voicings for choruses, I might move the capo you know, just to make the sound a little bit bigger. And then I think we just put a couple of power chords on the Les Paul and the choruses as well, just to make it even a little bit more bigger like that. You know what I mean? But all very like low gain, just kind of cranked up.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of nice breaking, and then you kind of put them all together. I think it sounds massive, like, you know.
You're also playing a little slide on there, no?
Yes, that's the slide. Yeah.
That's
the slide. Actually, was recorded with a Dan Electro amp and that Japanese guitar.
On the so you use the Japanese guitar for that wacky sound and for the slide.
For the slide mostly, but like the sort of the wacky sound is all Telecaster.
Oh, really? Just mic and strings.
Like the slide was actually mic'd with the strings, right? So when you play the slide, when I was playing the slide, the amp was mic'd and the strings were mic'd. But for the Telecaster, for the rhythms, we just basically used it was a Marshall 70s bass head.
Yeah.
Straight through that, and then I put a cap on the 4th fret, so maybe that's what makes it a little bit sound like a dobro. Because I'll be playing open chords rather than just power chords. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I moved that, like, I think...
Did you tune it to, like, open G or open E or something like that?
No, it's actually normal standard tuning, but okay. I have it on the 4th fret, so it's in B.
Yeah.
And then if you move it to the 2nd fret, you can then play that riff with the open strings in the front there. And then you have also different voicings for the choruses for the D and E chord. And as you move to the 4th fret, that changes all the game again. So they change all the way we would play the riff. So combining them too, it kind of gives that sort of a sound, I think. You know, so it's really open, but it sounds like you can't actually decide it's acoustic guitar or electric guitar or what it is exactly, you know.
Yeah, it sounded great.
The trick that I told, like, if you do that in the studio, you just get sort of a nicer sound rather than just having one Telecaster recorded the same way, you know what I mean, and just double it. You know? It just give more sort of a sound spectrum, I'd say.
You know, I always like the look of the Bahas. How does that feel?
I compare... Like, well, I went to the shop because lately I was thinking, like, oh, maybe I get Texas Special in the future, and just because there's a Texas Special, American Special, and there's a Texas Special pickups in those, right?
Yeah.
Which they have a little bit more meat in those guitars, like. But then I played it, and I didn't like the feel of it. And I think that it's more what I kind of like. So it has that sort of a 50s vibe, but it's still a tiny bit modern in that sense, you know. So it's very close to like the American Vintage 52.
Yeah.
You know, and it's actually a very good quality guitar. I think it's better than American Special that I played in the shop, and a couple of American Standards that I had in my hands as well. Just the feel of it and how it sounds. It's really kind of nice and warm, and not too actually. There's not, you know, it's kind of almost like a classic sound. That's what you want. It's kind of classic twang from it.
Yeah, because, you know, it's weird. They don't have certain, like, I think like Fiesta Red and like there's a real cool blue. They only make those either in custom or in the Baja.
Yeah.
That's really weird. They don't make them in like a regular, you know, a $1,400 or a $1,600 guitar. It's either in like an $800 guitar or a $3,000. I don't know why they
do have they have American Vintage Series Fender, which is like, it's basically, for this telly would be 52 American Vintage. And I think the last few years ago, they also did like 58 in the Sunburst, you know, and then the 60s with the which is then the body is made from alder, and they put rosewood necks in the 60s, you know what I mean, like a rosewood fretboard, so they sound a little bit different as well. But Baja will be kind of close to the 50s, sort of a telly kind of sound, you know.
Very cool.
The only thing I think they screwed it up was putting the switch with the four positions, and, you know, the S1 switch that you can get split, so you can get a bit of a kind of like a Peter Greeny sound if you put that on. And I think when you play this pickup, the neck pickup with the bridge pickup, but it's reversed, so there's a lot of combination of the sounds for that telly.
For the Baja, they had the 4-way?
Yeah.
Holy crap, that's a pretty good value then.
So you can get like you can get a lot of sounds from it.
That's a great value, because those are under $1,000, I think, brand new.
And they actually better build in terms of like detail and how they made, like you know, like even like when I was looking at the American Special, right? It was made from 3 planks of wood. The neck was kind of satin finish. I didn't like that. Frets were kind of okay. Like the pickups, the only thing that was great on it was pickups, right? I think the frets were probably a little bit better quality. They're a little bit better done. But the Baja just feels much more more expensive instrument than actually it is for the price.
That's great.
You know what I mean? So Yeah, there's a guy doing like the reviews. And there's a one dude from Australia. I think he does like he compares Baja with American Vintage 52 and the original 52. And actually, the Baja sounds very close to American Vintage. It's almost like you can't tell the difference.
Cool.
So,
because I have a Telly and I don't play it, and I'm looking to sell it because the neck is too weird shape, and it's maple. I like rosewood, and so I'd like to get another one and sell this one. So maybe I'll look at the Baja.
Yeah, I find always maple a little bit weird.
Yeah, I like dark wood. I feel better.
Yeah. But you can get back to the 60s with the rosewood neck, which is made from the bodies from Alder, and then you have the rosewood. It's kind of coming like a sonic blue.
Yes.
Numbers, yeah, they have that, yeah.
So they have Baja 50s and Baja 60s then?
Yeah.
Okay, very cool.
So it's called, I think that series is called Classic Player Series.
Yes, it is.
They have a couple of different models, different features.
Thanks, man.
We
cover it all on this show. Skinny Rivers, it's another track. Dave does a great job on the vocals there, man. Lots of background vocals, overdubbed. I was curious, like, where do those ideas come from to say, when you guys are in the studio, say, hey, let's do some background vocals here? Because to me, in music or like in any kind of creative thing, it's these little subtleties that really make something go from good to great. And I was curious, like, is that something he came up with, or are you just sitting there knocking ideas around, or how do those things come up?
The track itself, it was all ideas for the riffs and guitarists. I kind of come up with the song when I was still in Poland. I was about 19, and it was one of those tunes that was always there around in the back in case of ideas, So then Dave kind of liked and he didn't like it because for him kind of sounded a little bit too happy, too majory, and that kind of stuff. So I think
too happy.
I think from his point, it was he wasn't sure about this track because for him it was a little bit he preferred a little bit more darker stuff like Good Man Call, Black Rain,
Sure.
And I think he was thinking like it's not sitting really well with the other songs, and that was the concern about it. But then as we started working the song, and Dave was coming up with different ideas, and the way it was actually mixed at the end, then he loved the track,
Oh, it's a beautiful track, man.
So he was happy then with his vocals and all the backing vocals that he did. I think he was thinking about like the old sort of a Whitesnake, kind of Def Leppard kind of stuff. So a lot of backing vocals, kind of that 80s vibe. Still, it's still in the sort of vein of kind of Southern rock. You know what I mean? And it's kind of the Purple Mark III and that kind of stuff. So that was a funny track because it actually almost ended up not being on the album, in that sense. So I think he wasn't happy with it for a while. But once we started getting the right mixes and adding another stuff, layers and stuff like that, it kind of really fattened up and deepened the sound of it.
Well, it's funny you said that because my notes here says I could easily see this being a hit record. It reminds me of some of the great Whitesnake hits of the past. I mean, it's a freaking great track. I could easily see that being a hit record, man. Yeah,
like it's a cool little tune. Like even the guitar wise, we used Telecaster, and then so the rhythm is recorded again with the Telly, with the Baja Telly. Then you have Les Paul and certain accents and solos, and the first solo is actually on the Strat, on the Stevie Ray Vaughan Strat. So yeah, like it was good fun to work on it. But even for myself, the outro solo, I kind of struggled to find something really melodic for it because it's just, again, it was so majory in terms of the chord progression that I was like, I don't know, I'm just not sure about it. Didn't want to blow it with some shredding and that kind of stuff. I just kind of went in with all. We just decided to went a little bit more bluesier and pull it back on that sort of outro solo.
It sounds great, real good. And then we talked about earlier, Good Man Call. That's a very pretty ballad. And this was interesting. In the beginning, I thought you had a B3 there. But then I listened to it a couple more times. I think it's actually you on guitar, isn't it?
The acoustic guitar, electric guitar. No.
It sounds like a Hammond B3 organ, like in the beginning. It's you on electric guitar, though, I think, isn't it?
Yes, that's a G through Fox amp, AC30, with a bit of tremolo on it.
A bit of tremolo?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you had to listen to it because originally when it first it sounds like a Hammond because that's what I'm saying. The recording is so clean and clear. You know, I thought you had a B3 organ there. I was like, oh, that's weird.
Cool. I didn't actually know that. It sounds to me like a guitar anyway, you know. But
maybe I was having a drink. I don't know.
But like, there's also like you can hear in the background. There's a bit of like street noises and that kind of stuff as well. So I think Owen just came out from the studio, outside the studio, and just recorded at night. There was a guy picking rubbish in with the lorry, so that's what he recorded. So you can hear the kind of a bit of a bottle twang and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I never actually think it would sound like a keyboard, like a Hammond kind of thing. Yeah,
to me anyway, it sounded like a B3. And like I said, the second time I listened to it, I had to go really close, and I was like, "Oh wow, that's a guitar." And it sounded like you had some effect on it or something. And I didn't. When you said it's a tremolo, that makes sense.
Yeah, it was a tremolo effect basically from the amp again. So
from the Vox.
From the Vox, yeah, itself, yeah. So that's what we used to. That's what we used basically again amp, just a guitar plug-in straight through. I think it was an HD Special that I had at the time. Yeah, so it actually sounded really cool for that song, I think.
Sounded great, man. There's some really good slide work on there, and I was curious, were you playing the same guitar, slide and non-slide, or were they different?
Actually, I played it with the fingers as well, so like all the little feels that you can hear, it's also that SG. It's just another layer. It's just another layer of guitar, because I think the way I record like a picking pattern, which you can hear at the start, and that was through the whole verses. And then on like laying another part, like another layer of guitar, I just did like a more sort of a higher string stuff, just to kind of compromise them too, like, just to feel a little bit of space. And that's how that I think was done. The solo on that, it's also recorded with the Les Paul that I have, the classic Les Paul with the neck pickup with a sort of the tone roll off all the way down.
Yep.
It was also kind of jammed as well. You know what I mean? And then we took out the parts that we weren't sure about. I didn't like it or some sort of, because I kind of just ripped it off through it. We just kind of nicely mix it what we want from it. And that's how that ended up on there.
It's a nice, long, slow outro too. Really good. Yeah. You did a great job building up the climax there, man. It was really cool.
And actually, it's a funny track because like that's the song that was actually Dave's songs as well. Like he came in and he said, like, look, I have this song. It's 3 chords, right? I'm thinking of like Child in Time, and all those kind of like Dream On by Aerosmith, that kind of stuff. So well, what are we going to do with that? So we record the acoustic guitar, 12-string guitar. And then we're like, okay, where are we going to go next? So then I come up with this little picking part, which you have when it goes to the outro, there's a break, and there's a picking part on the guitar, and then you have the build up. So that was also just chord strumming. So it was actually very flat track all the way through it. But as Brian was putting drums on it and laying all the stuff with the guitars, it's sort of a build it up. You know what I mean? Which is really strange, because sometimes when you record stuff like that, if it doesn't go dynamically anywhere, you might sometimes stay like that.
I think it was great build up at the end, man. You did a really good job there.
Because I think we managed that kind of sort of build it up what we wanted, But it was a very kind of track that was very easy to sort of destroy, I'd say so. If you went with it wrong,
So basically, you and Dave did most of the writing on the record.
Yes, like basically, I come up with mostly the riffs on the guitar and some chord progressions, and sometimes like Good Man Call or Black Rain, or like some choruses. Dave just came in like, that's the chords for it, and I kind of wrote the stuff around that, like riffs around that, so they kind of work together, and that's how he kind of works. So we just basically throw the riffs, and okay, like Blue Mountain, it's another track that like it was basically done. I came up with this riff, and then like straight away Dave had an idea what he wants to sing over that, and then chorus just like, okay, so let's maybe go to F and play D, and that's it, So it's very like that. Whatever kind of worked for him as well vocally, or he kind of heard it, we just went for it, like,
So it sounds like you guys just have a really good writing musical partnership where you're able to just get shit done.
Yeah, I think like the magic about it is the fact that we both give each other space. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like, no, I don't like that, or sometimes you go with other guys like, no, that's not going to work. We just give it a try. If it works, it works. And sometimes like be surprised, like with the Sunstroke for a long time. Like I said it before, like I struggled with the song because I didn't have parts for it. When then Dave came in and he's like, look, that's that's the three chords, which has become the chorus now for the song. And then I just came back home next day, came back to the studio again, and had a riff around it. You know what I mean? So that's how it works sometimes. So there's a lot of inspirations. Like I think we both kind of get inspiration from each other. Do you know what I mean? When you kind of write, because sometimes he gives me some clue or some idea that I might gonna use it, and then do the stuff around him. You know, like but the Black Rain was just basically three chord song. There's not nothing in it, no riff, anything like that. You know, it was just the vocal idea that he had for the choruses.
Yeah, guys have a good chemistry together, man.
So it's a very kind of just trying out things and just see what happens. Really, I think worked at the end.
Hey, you think you're going to stay in Ireland now at this point? That's home now for you?
Yeah, I almost feel like, because it's different than back home. Of course, I can do what I always wanted to do, is play music and stuff like that. Now with the band. I don't think I'll be moving soon, especially with my girlfriend as well. She wants to stay here, so I think we are pretty much happy here.
Is she from Poland also?
Yeah.
Oh, cool! I didn't realize that.
But she's from a different part. I met her 7 years ago when I was actually playing with Lancel Links in Dublin here, and she came with her friends after the gig when we were kind of packing up, and then I don't know, we just ended up chatting then. But she chatted me first. I was a little bit too. On the night, I was a little bit too afraid to kind of come over to her. I don't know, a little bit too shy to kind of.
That's funny.
Because I know, like, always when I open my mouth, like, especially when it comes to girls, I always kind of burn it straight away. So I was like, if I like to really need some in terms of I like some girl, like, I'm really kind of shy in that sense, to trying to start conversations, because sometimes I just don't know what I want to talk about.
Well, I didn't realize that she was from Poland. What are the chances? Is there like a large? So I guess there must be a large Polish population there, because what's the likelihood of you meeting another girl from Poland?
Back a few years ago, I think it was like 70,000, 80,000 Polish people in Ireland.
Oh, okay. So there is a good size. It's a good size.
Like, it kind of shrank a little bit, I think, now after a few years, but still a lot of Polish people. I remember, like, when I came into Ireland, like, when you walk on the streets in Dublin, like, you turn your head, you can hear the language. You know what I mean? So that's how many was at the time in 2006. But I met her in 2011, so. Yeah, it was still a big community there, at that time.
Do you find that, like you said, you're shy? You're certainly not shy when it comes to playing guitar, and I mean that, and not like you're brash, but you're like very, very expressive. Do you feel like that's where you're best at expression?
I think for me it's easier to express myself through playing guitar than sometimes talk.
Yeah.
I find sometimes, especially I don't know, if I don't know people really well, like, as I'm getting older now, I don't really kind of care anymore. But when I was younger, I was very concerned to talk to certain people, or like even trying to meet new people or new girl or something like that. I always had this kind of block in my head that, like, what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna probably screw it up straight away. So I was very kind of conscious all the time about it. So I preferred it to. Guitar. I think guitar, when I was a teenager, guitar was the sort of extension of my voice, I'd say so.
Yeah.
And that, in those terms, because I was able to express what I want to say sometimes, or even even if I wasn't happy about something, or other way around, I found it through the instrument. I found it much more easier way to do it.
Well, your playing is very soulful, even when you're playing fast. There's a lot of there's a lot of feeling, and that's what attracts me to your playing. I'm not a guy that likes, like I said, just fast for fast's sake. That's not my thing at all, but I like soul. And, you could hear that in whatever you're playing, whether you're playing your own stuff or whether you're doing a cover of Freddie. You did this cover, man. You did, what the hell is it? Freddie King.
Oh, The Stumble.
You did a cover of that a few years ago, man. And it was like, it was Freddie, it was a stumble, but it was totally your version. And that's when I contacted you, like, oh my God, that was like amazing. It was anybody who is into, blues and Freddie King, look on Michal's YouTube channel. It's for the Stumble. It's just an amazing version of it. It's, you know, he just makes it his. It's just really great, soulful stuff there. And let me, I'll tell you how to spell his name at the end, but while we're on it, it's just Michal, Michal, Kulbaka, Kulbaka, music or guitar for YouTube?
Guitar.
Michal Kulbaka guitar. You've done a good job of putting all these videos out. Was there any like plan for that, or just doing it because you like it, or?
I think I just I've seen other people doing it. I've seen that like 2 years ago, which I think it was about the time I started with it. It was more kind of getting popular. I always wanted to do it even a few years back. And then eventually I got this Line 6 UX1, which is really old. And then, that's where I'm getting all the sounds from. And, you know, I got the camera as well, and I started putting the videos. But, like I said to you before, I'm not very, like, you know, savvy, techie computer guy. So, like, for me, it was the first video I did, I recorded, like, Eric Johnson's video, for example. Like, I recorded first, and then I mimed to it. And I said, like, no, that looks bad. So then I try and kind of just to get one take and play it throughout from the start to the end, even with some mistakes, and then do the video of it like that, because I just found it takes less time and it's better that way as well, because it's performance as well, and you're also learning yourself how to perform the songs. I know it's a backing track, and other people say you shouldn't play with a backing track, which I also hate. But I think for me it was a good point to start this sort of online presence, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think so.
And also in Beam, I was doing the project on that as well when I was living in the, you know, Beam last year. So it kind of helped me to do all that stuff and research a little bit more. But yeah, like the Freddie King track was funny because I remember I watched a little bit of Gary Moore, Freddie King. I was trying to put it something, you know, that sounds, it's kind of not maybe mine, but just close to Gary Moore, but maybe put them all three together. Like, you know,
yeah,
and just make and see what happens. So that's what I did. But I remember I was recording this track and I was getting frustrated because every time I played it, the E string was going out of tune, and I was like, no. So I think I did 2 or 3 takes, and I broke the E string. Oh. And then I didn't have an E string because, you know, the spare E string. I was like, oh no. So I took out one of the old ones that I had somewhere in the box, and I just put it on, and I just tuned it and did the take. So actually, you can, if you listen closely, I think the E string on it, when I do like a double stops on the B and E string, you can hear it's a little bit out of tune towards the end when I'm doing the 6th movement, what, you know, Freddie does.
Man, I think nobody's listening to that.
I'm always thinking like that. I love how I would be able to edit that or record another video, but I'm thinking like, what's the point? There's a lot of guitar players these days that they do videos, and it's so edited.
No, that's perfect, man. Don't touch that thing.
So I just say I prefer to leave it as it is, and if somebody doesn't like that, he's probably I'm not gonna care about it. So
no.
So I did it in like one long take, and I said like I was actually to think of doing another one. I was like, no, leave it. That's it. That's gone as a video. Release it there, and that's it. That was done. And surprisingly, there was this guy on Facebook. I forgot his name now. He had his own website, like own Facebook page, and he shared my video, and then like went from 5,000 views to like 80,000 views, you know, in space of a couple of days. You know, I was surprised, like, wow, people loved it, and I was actually really surprised and overwhelmed by the positive comments about my playing, which I was a little bit sort of unsure if I release those videos, you know, they're going to be good enough, they could sound good enough, because I'm not a fan of the Line 6 myself, and especially the sound of this one. But somehow I managed that the sound is quite okay, do you know what I mean, for today's maybe standards, because, you know, the technology of guitar modeling stuff, it's going really fast, and you get almost as close as the valve amps now these days, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I was kind of worried a little bit. And even I'm at the moment we're renting the apartment, so like it's not my own space. It's not my like own studio or room that I can decorate the way I want it, you know. So it looks awesome, and like some guys do as well. So it's all like, you know, just done in the room. And sometimes, you know, that's how I went about it, you know.
Yeah, but let me tell you, there's a million lessons in there for people. Like, number one, you're a guy who's a little shy, but you said, fuck it, and I'm going to do something, because I know if I don't do anything, you know, nothing may happen if I do something, but if I do nothing, it's guaranteed that nothing will happen. Right. Yeah. And then the number two is you weren't in love with the sound, but basically you said, hey, done is better than zero.
Yeah.
And then yeah, that's great. I mean, it's a very inspirational, man, to be honest.
You know, the thing is like as well, like in terms of recording the videos, and I always found that like, you know, Instagram is great, but there's a lot of guys doing 60 seconds video. I always thought that it's a little bit boring. I'd rather take a whole tune and just record it like that, do a full song, you know. Probably in the future, what I'm looking now at the moment is try and maybe write my own, like a little guitar, you know, instrumental pieces. Once I, you know, update my studio in the future, hopefully, that's what I want to move to. Like, I don't want to do any more covers and using backing tracks. You know, I think they are great to get your probably name around there a little bit online. And, you know, obviously people always, when they type in Stevie Ray Vaughan, there's more chance of somebody watch the video than you just play some of your stuff. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it helps a little bit like that, doing those covers. But I think, yeah, once I get some nice following, I think I'm just gonna move on to do my own original stuff. And that's the idea for the future.
Yeah, but you built a base now. You built a base, and you know what was really cool about you that I thought was really nice? You like respond to almost every person that gives you a compliment. Like, I thought that was so fucking cool, man.
Yeah, I think I even got invited to Nashville. There's some guy who was saying, "Oh man, my friend, you know, he's this country singer, and you know, he's endorsed by Gibson. You know, if you come down ever to Nashville, you know, we take you around the place, we try to sort out some gigs for you, all that kind of stuff." I think that was cool.
Yeah,
I was kind of laughing at it. I was like, Jesus Christ! And I went actually to check this guy because he gave me his name, and yeah, it was true. Like, he was some, you know, guy in his 40s doing all the country stuff and all like a country picnics in States, Nashville, like, you know, all the Gibson banners and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So like, oh, maybe I should go and try it one day. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
A lot of business and a lot of session work in Nashville.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe one day, I don't know, maybe next year to see what happens. Because like, for me, it would be very hard to get visa. I'd say so, you know.
Oh, it's expensive as shit, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like, even I need to organize myself to do it first. But I love to just even go there for 6 months and see how it is, you know.
Yeah.
And see if I can actually pick up some work as a session guitarist.
I bet you could.
There's amazing talent in the States. It's like it's scary when you hear all these guys. It's like, holy shit, you know.
Man, I've interviewed about 120 guys in Nashville.
Wow.
I know a ton of guys there, yeah. In fact, I'm going to be in there for NAMM this year, just for the first day, to check it out. I've never been there before, so I want to, it's not really my scene. It's kind of chaos, but I want to go see what it's all about. So, but anyway, I'm glad you did all that. That's good. So, you know, that's a great example of you get out of your comfort zone a little bit, and look what happened. You got contacted by people all over the world. You got a big following, and you got connected by David, and you got this freaking great album out now, man. So
it all worked out at the end.
What's that?
Yeah, a little bit worked out at the end for my favorite. You know what I mean?
It's great. I mean, nothing happens if you do nothing. You know?
No, exactly. You have to. I think if you want to really, you know, be out there and play, you have to actually kind of come out and meet people. Like, online presence is important now as well. But I learned from other couple of guys here that you have to kind of go to the gigs, meet people, and also play with them, which is my next step as well. I need to do that more because I'm kind of more focused on Samarkand now. You know, my own videos, my own stuff. But I think I should kind of just go and meet more people at the minute. You know, to see what's out there and jam with them. Maybe get some more session work and stuff like that. You know.
Oh, you get tons of opportunities, man.
Hopefully, because like from doing the videos, even locally, I noticed that you know, a lot of people kind of now sort of more know who I am than I was, let's say, 3 or 4 years ago. You know.
Oh yeah.
So the name is kind of out there. We'll see. I just need to kind of pick up pieces of work and start working towards that as well.
Well, let me tell you what. Every single guy I've interviewed in Nashville, because I always ask, how did this happen? How did you connect? It's 100% like this. They were out playing, and 6 months later, you know, a drummer that they played with on some shitty gig is with a band, and they need a lead guitar player, and those guys got along and they liked each other's playing. He goes, "Hey, are you available? My guy's looking for a lead guitarist." And he's like, "Yeah." So you would definitely, and you're an easy guy to get along with, so you're a great player, so you would get tons of opportunities, man. Sessions, I would be shocked if you weren't doing sessions in Ireland. There you go, man.
It's a small world here as well. Like you'd be surprised in Ireland itself, in Dublin, or either outside Dublin, like even down the country. Like there's just so many great guitar players. It's it's actually scary. Some of them, they're really scary. Like, you know what I mean? They really like world class, you know, level. Do you know what I mean? Like, even like, I don't know, just give, you know, like even the guy that was teaching me in school, Jimmy Smith or Simon McBride, if you look them up, they just like Jimmy's basically, he's an alien. Like, he's just, I don't know, he does this bends on the country bends guitar playing jazz. When I was watching him on the gig a couple of weeks ago, and it's just a pleasure to watch. You learn so much from these guys that is unbelievable. Like, you know, it's quite an amazing scene over here. I know it's a small country, but like you got a lot of people, like a lot of talented people, players that, you know, you always learn from all of them. Like, you know, and see what you need to kick up your ass, get better and better. You know, to do stuff like that.
It's funny, the guitar community is small here too. Like once you start talking to people, everybody knows everybody, and it's just, you know, it's a small world. It's really weird.
Yeah, it is. Actually, it is. Yeah. But look, guys, no, I was going to just try and, you know, keep working on those things, and the videos as well. I'm kind of working in room 335 just for the next video, just for the crack. I like the track, and I have the hollow body guitar now, so I just want to use that and see how that kind of works, you know. So I find Larry Carlton a little bit tricky in terms of the feel, like the way he phrases is just amazing.
Yeah, man. Well, let me know when it's out. I'll put it up on our webpage too.
Cool. Yeah.
Hey, what's your? Let's talk about gear for a few minutes. I know we covered your guitars. Which one is your go-to?
Geez, it's hard to say. You know, like I like playing all of them really. Depends what things, depends what stuff I need to do. Like if I play with the Samurai kind, because it's the one guitar in the band at the moment, I'm using a Les Paul because it has a little bit more push on certain, you know, like chords and riffs and stuff like that.
Sure.
But then I played the Strat again a few days ago in rehearsals. It sounds amazing as well with the Foos. So
your Sunburst, that's your Sunburst Strat.
Yeah, the Stevie Ray 1 Strat. So I'm kind of like, oh my god, like which one I play? I never can decide because I like them both, and like most of the time I'm using this Les Paul with the Zebras, you know, where you can see sometimes on the pictures or videos for the gig. So that's my kind of gigging guitar because it's just comfortable. It sounds okay. It sounds good.
What kind of pickups are in there? Is it the 498? No, that's in the classic. Is it burst buckers?
Well, what I had basically when I got this guitar, I had I traded for standard faded I had a couple of years ago, and in that standard faded I had the SH1 Seymour Duncan and SH4 Seymour Duncan, but because I didn't, by the time when I was doing the trade in the shop, I didn't have the original pickups for the faded. So I come up with the idea to the guy, like, look, you take those Honeyburst Buzzbuckers Gibson pickups into that faded, and I take back my pickups. So I did it for me, and he was happy with that. So that's how it ended up. And then I came up. I found out actually there was a company. There's a guy named Declan Larkin. He's from Northern Ireland. He does pickups himself. He has a company called Diachi. I don't know if I've heard of it. And I asked him if he could make the pickups for me the way I wanted, like, because I was a bit sort of sick of even the pickups I had in the classic. They were like, an Eco 2 Seymour Duncans. I never been a fan of them. I don't know. They just been a bit bummy on the neck, and then not enough kind of kick on the bridge. I didn't like them really well. So I asked him if he could make two sets for me, and I specified exactly what I wanted. Sent him some samples of the guitar sounds itself. He made them for me, and they're absolutely amazing. Like Seymour Duncans, they're great, but I think they don't have a character. They're very how to say it, compressed or something like that. They don't have really much. I don't know, if you play those Diachis, they just sound like the old pickup should sound like,
So they're like PAFs?
Yeah, they're like PAFs, but like one of them, the Zebra set that I have, the bridge is a little bit hotter. There's a few more wounds on it, and then the other one is sort of more, even less. So it's kind of more like I asked him to kind of do sort of a old ES kind of style pickup. So like the neck pickup, I can get that sort of a sound close to ES 3G5. So it's not like, let's say, an Eco 2 Seymour Duncan's, not too boomy, not too dull, but it's just perfect for a neck pickup. It's just very clear and clean. So that was the idea. And so it's kind of very old school sounding set, and then the other one with the Zebras is a little bit sort of a hotter on the bridge, and the neck pickups the same. So I'm quite actually amazed and really happy with those pickups, because finally I feel like I found my sound on those guitars, because I always find Les Pauls are great, but people say, oh, they're heavy, they have big sound. No, actually, they sound really thin to me, right? I think the Strat sounds bigger on the riffs sometimes than the Les Paul. Depends on the amp you play. So now finally I'm happy with this guitarist because they actually have the sound that I was kind of looking for, like that kind of Gary Moore-ish, all like a ES type of guitars, sort of like all the vintage specifications, sort of so there's not much gain on those pickups, like they're not featured or saturated or anything like that, or compressed. They're just very open and very lively sounding things.
Funny, there's a bunch of guys in the UK and Ireland who make PAF copies now.
Yeah, there's
everybody. Yeah, and everybody loves them. I mean, some guy will say he uses Ox 4s. That guy's out of England, and I've heard of your guy before, and people are really digging him.
Yeah, the actually pickups are like quite amazing. I've heard some guys in Ireland here using them for Strats, and just like mainly for the small company and for the pieces that Declan has. I think it's amazing what he can produce.
What's his name?
Declan Larkin, I think.
Okay, Declan Larkin.
And the pickups are named Diachi. I'll send you a link later on if you want.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thank you. What's like the best guitar and best amp you've owned?
Oh, Jesus. Well, I don't know. Now at the moment I have the JDM 45 Plexi, which I really like it. I still need to get my, once I play bigger gigs, I still need to get my sound around, from that head that I kind of want is going to be looking for the sound on this. But I used to use JCM 100, which I used for the Samarkand album, and then I sold it to the studio to pay for the album. So, so what happened is that was my favorite amp for a long time, but I found JCM 100 could be very thin with the Strats and Telecasters and a little bit too noisy as well. So the JTM is kind of perfect because it has that. It's kind of in between. Even sort of has those clean Fenders, like those clean Fender sounds, close enough anyway, and has that kind of Marshall thing going on about it. So it's a really great amp because if you push it more, you get a lovely kind of drive, and then the clean, it's kind of close to Fender, but I think it's a little bit better for me. Works for me better in that way. Because I used to have a DeVille as well, but it was too heavy to carry around, so I just got rid of it.
Yeah, some of these amps are just 90 pounds, man. It's just crazy. They go by kilos over there or pounds?
I go by kilos. I think a lot of people go by pounds, kilos as well. I think it's mixed over here. I think if you go to Northern Ireland, then it's all in pounds. I'd say so.
What do they do in England? I'm trying to think what my mother-in-law does. I don't know. What about guitar? What's the best guitar you've ever played?
Geez, that's another hard question to answer. Like the ones that I like most now, it's probably the Stevie Ray Vaughan Strat, because I always when I had a couple of Strats before, and I always found it like I also started playing on my first electric guitar was a Strat. I always found it really tricky to set it up and make them sound well, right? To get a good tone out of it. And with the Stevie Ray Vaughan, I don't know, for some reason when I tried it in the shop, I actually tried it without plugging in, and I just played it, and I just hear how it resonates. I was like, that's going to sound amazing. So once I got it, I was very happy with it. The way the neck, it's big, and it's sort of a 12 radius, so it's like a Gibson a little bit, so it's more flat. The way the guitar sounds and responds, and the way it's set up now, it's amazing. It's probably one of my favorite guitars at the moment to go, like even to play at home, sometimes jam, and playing gigs or stuff like that.
So 12 radius is pretty thin neck then.
It's actually the radius, so the fretboard is kind of flat, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So the neck is still thick. It's a deep kind of big C, like based on the Stevie Ray Vaughan specs, whatever he had at that time. But the radius is it's kind of flat.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
So it's not very oval, sort of a fretboard,
Totally get it.
So it's comfortable to play chords and that kind of stuff. If you play Gibson all the time, it's very guitar easy Strat to get used to it.
You have an SG? You say you have an SG. You played an SG on the album, right?
Yes, I have SG. Well, that SG that I had, there was another SG that I had, which I got rid of it as well. But I have SG Standard back home, which I don't really play it often. And then I have another Les Paul Supreme, which is also back home. I don't really use it. I just, whatever I'm going on holidays, visit my mum, I just might going to take off on the case and play for a while. But my probably guitar to go would be the Classic as well. It would be my favorite instrument. The way it just plays and sounds was my fourth Gibson. I bought it when I came over here. So I have a kind of sort of a sentiment to it, I think so.
Sure.
And the Steve Strat. So probably those two guitars, I'd say I would take them everywhere if I have to, like go somewhere and play. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I know I can trust those instruments. I know that I can sound on them good, and they work really well.
That's what you play mostly on your videos. Both, I'd say more the Gibson, but then the Strat right behind it, right?
Yeah. And I found it. Strat is more. It's also more creative guitar. Probably maybe because for years now I played Les Paul all the time. I just kind of got sick of and tired of the same sound. Which with the Strat you can always. You never know what you're going to get it with different amp, with different pedals, and even with effects. It's more creative. I think it's a better instrument in that sense, you know, because it just really opens your mind when you sit down and you play with it, and you start messing with this stuff. Like, you know, there's an endless possibilities on that guitar, I think, compared to Gibson.
Even with the 5-way switch, sometimes there's a really drastic changes between each each mode of the switch.
Yeah.
Hey, what would be your top 3 Desert Island discs just for right now, in no particular order, and knowing this could change tomorrow? Like knee-jerk reaction, what would you pick?
Texas Flood by Stevie Ray Vaughan, and I think will be Jimi Hendrix album. Probably 3 of them. I'd say are experienced. Electric Ladyland and probably Band of Gypsies. I don't know. I'm just joking, but like no.
So you get a Hendrix box set.
Box set on the yeah. No, there's other, like, you know, probably some Gary Moore. I'd say, I don't know. It's Jeff Beck, probably Blow by Blow. It's been another album.
Great album.
Maybe Deep Purple. I don't know, Burn or
Burn is
fun.
Burn. Yeah, those are great albums, man. I actually have those in vinyl.
Wow.
Yeah, the original. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I'm probably your parents' age, so I was around when those are out. We had no problem getting them here in the States, man. Hey, man, what have you learned about yourself through this journey? Because it sounds like you've really had a lot of personal growth, you know, between moving and, you know, opening up and pushing the boundaries with your guitar and with your comfort zone. What are some stuff you've learned about yourself?
I think what I learned the most probably would be never think backwards, or never just trying to hold yourself back. I think I'm doing that still a lot of times. I don't know, maybe it's the way I grew up and the times that, you know, and that kind of stuff. I always kind of found it a bit sort of pushing myself back, and I'll be able to move forward. But I think with a lot of support from Agnes and my oldest brother, like, you know, in terms of music or things in life, I think I start doing those moves and steps, and I start kind of moving a little bit faster than I thought we would, in the direction that I want to do. So I think yeah, you have to always be like, you know, just don't hold yourself back, and just you know, do the things and go for it, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting. Sorry.
There's nothing you can lose. Sorry, there's nothing there's nothing you can lose. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna make, even if you make an idiot out of yourself, you know, you still tried it. And I think the worst thing in the life is like when you look back when you're old and you say like, geez, I didn't try that. You know. There's probably a few things I have now at the moment, like why I didn't try this before. You know, and I know I learned from that I shouldn't do this way. I just should actually move on and try to work towards to what I want to achieve as a musician or any way, you know, in life.
Yeah, it's funny. I look at you. I'm like shocked you said that, because I have like so much respect for you, because you've like done this, done that. You moved to another country. You did this. You started a band. You learned how to speak English. You went to school. So it's funny that you say that. So you must have like a million things going through your mind that you want to do, because I'm looking at you. So, man, this guy's a young guy. He's done a hell of a lot. So I mean, to me, you know.
Yeah, a lot of times, like. I always ask my girlfriend, like, you know, should I do it? Should I go for it? You know, should I try that? And she's like, you know, like, she always laughs at me. She's like, why are you thinking not doing it? Like, you know, come on, do it. Like, move your ass, you know. And I think she's probably good reason. And thanks to her, because of her, I actually moved through certain things, through certain issues I probably had. This sort of a block in my head that, you know, I'm not good enough. I'm not going to do this well. I'm going to go and I'm going to screw this up. You know, and that's why I learned it. Like, it was funny. A couple of years ago, it was probably 4 years ago, there was an audition for a Johnny Cash show in Dublin here, and I got email from BIM, from the college, that this audition is going on, and I didn't have much time because I was working, and there was exams at the time as well, because it was the sort of end of the year, and just basically listened to tracks and just went there and I said, I'm going to try it, whatever happens, And I was saying to Agnes, like, I shouldn't try it. I'm not ready. I don't think I'm going to do well, And then when I went there, I was actually really scared, like paralyzed almost to play. And the guy that normally plays the main character, he plays guitar. He was an amazing kind of country player, like, he's got spot on all that style. And I came in there with a couple of riffs, and I totally, like, I was totally shit, like I totally blew it. I didn't get the work. I just actually didn't even come back to them because they gave me another chance to get some more time and then learn the stuff. I just like, no, I'm horrible, So that's kind of taught me a lesson that you should actually, take your opportunities. Don't be even afraid, even if you're not going to do it well. At the end of the day, nobody's gonna mark you off. You're scratched from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like it's if it doesn't go well, next time you probably get it. You know what I mean? So you have to keep trying.
Yeah.
Learn from this. I think you learn from experiences like that a lot.
Well, you said it earlier. Even if you fail, okay, then next. Like a big deal. Like nobody knows. It's not like they put you on the paper, and even if they did, who gives a shit?
I used to be like that. I used to actually kind of thinking like the same way, like you just said it now, like, oh, they're going to be looking at me, they're going to know I'm shit. Like, that's my kind of thing. I think it's probably mentality. I kind of grew up with it in school and how important other kids react to other kids and how they treat you and how the teachers treat you and generally even how parents kind of brought you up. Like, over there, it's like everything has to be perfect. If it's not, you shit. There's no like you have another chance to be kind of slacked all the time, like, oh, you shit, and then you grow up in your life and you're thinking all the time you shit. Yeah. Because they always expect, whatever it's a job or whatever it's music, whatever part of the life you're going to take it's always people going to be looking over there like that at you, like, very strict in those sense. But here I like about Irish people, they're kind of more laid back. And accept a lot of things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they like, even if you're not doing well, you get it done next time. Over there, there's certain people, and it's like, you shit, and that's it, that's done, So they don't accept that a little bit. So I find that over here, it's more, I think it's changing my mentality a little bit now, slowly, surely.
Well, it's good. I know I know what you're talking about because I had a project I was doing 10 years ago in business, and I had a guy I was working with for Germany, and he explained the same thing. He's like, no, we can't do this if we mess it up. I'm like, if we mess it up, what?
Yeah, so they have to say
the boogeyman's gonna come, and I didn't understand him, but he explained exactly the same thing. He said in Germany, he said, like if you fail at something, it's like everybody looks at you like, oh my God, you're a failure. Whereas here in the States, I mean, you've had guys who have failed. You have guys who have stolen millions of dollars and been locked up in jail. And the day they get out of jail, it's like, okay, you got a brand new start. What do you want to do today? And they become successful in business again, or sometimes they go become thieves again. But I understand what you're saying. It is a different mentality here. Like there's no downside to failure, none at all.
Yeah, back there is a little bit tricky. Like it's exactly like in Germany. Like I'd say, give you an example. In Ireland, so it's like if you get late for a couple of minutes, you're fine. Like, oh yeah, grand, don't worry, it'll be fine. Right, go back, go to work, whatever you have to do. Back there, if you're late for something, like it's done, the doors are shut. That's it. You're late 2-3 times, you're kicked out, and it's like they don't really accept any for them people like that back there. It's that's all bullshit. They don't accept that. Like it has to be. It's very straight and to the point. Like there's no you can actually go out a bit boundary wise, stretch it out a little bit.
Alrighty, what would you say most important thing your parents taught you?
I think generally, I think even growing up back then, I think even from my grandparents, like my grandmother from mom's side, she survived war, and I think the way she taught my mom, kind of strict, but being good, being honest, follow your basically your traditions, you know what I mean, and religion and stuff like that. So I think she kind of, that's what she taught me. My dad kind of taught me more same sort of stuff, but my dad was a little bit more relaxed always. He was more like a laid back guy, and if we did something bad, for example, me especially, not my brothers, so he would let me get away with it. He got angry, but he would actually laugh. Almost one day when I was like 7 or 8, I almost burned my parents' house. So my dad was laughing. My mom was like going mad because my hubby used to be a fire, for a while.
Your hobby used to be fire.
Yeah, so setting on everything on the fire. So yeah, so she was fine. Like he was fine with it. He just laughed because I'm going to grow out from that. He's going to be fine. But my mom, the way she was, brought, I think she was kind of panicking about it and making things actually more serious and more stressful than they actually are in the real life, in the real situation. If you would look at it back, So I think from both of them, they had the same kind of way of thinking, like in terms of I think with my brothers as well. The way they tried to broad us as a kid. To be honest, be humble, be kind to people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
be a genuinely good person, because I always believe, like, if you're good, it will always come back around to you twice. So it's better than a kind of old school way, I'd say so. So if like back then in Poland, the 80s, 90s, like my parents would be, especially my mum, she'd be very old-fashioned way of growing up. Same grandparents, they've seen a lot. They survived, war. They lived, without food, without things. They really appreciate, like, even, let's say, if I would take it's still important like that with old people. If you take a bread, let's say, if it's old bread that it's hard like rock, and you're trying to throw it away in the bin, they'll be like giving out to you, like, why don't you give it to birds, or I don't know, do something with it. I don't know, something that it's useful, not just throw in the bin, because one day you might be going on the streets and looking for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they grew up. They grew up probably where food was rationed or not at all available. Yeah.
Like if I heard stories like from my grandmother, like they'd be eating cheese and onions for years at least during the war, because there's no food at all. Like Poland was really bad. You know what I mean? In terms of other countries, like same like in Russia, basically everything was just basically took and stripped back. Even if you look at our history, you're going to see, like, we went through like a lot of hell stuff, and even after the war, during the communism, there was really everything was really kind of was poor basically till the 90s, when the things start changing a little bit, and now I'd say when I left Poland and I go back there now, since we joined the EU, there's a huge progress.
Oh, it's coming. It's economically a lot more positive and thrifty.
Like even in terms of infrastructure, like Poland used to be a very grey country. Do you know what I mean? During the communists after war, too, like nobody cared, like nobody they look after the things. And now these days they renovate buildings, they're doing everything. Like it's amazing actually how the country looks now and looked, let's say, even 15 years ago when I grew up.
They promote Poland a lot here in the States as a tourism destination, because it's relatively, first of all, architecturally, it's beautiful. It's nothing like we have here in the States at all. So like I see pictures of it and I'm like, oh my God, it's just like these ancient castles. Everything looks like it's an ancient castle, right? And they say though, but like financially, it's a lot more economical to go to a place like Poland, for example, than Paris or England or London or something like that. So they always tout Poland as a tourist destination here. So.
It's still cheaper than other countries. Like, but even like now, trying to book holidays, myself and my girlfriend, like I'm looking at the prices, and they're actually coming up now very close to European standards. Other places, a lot of spots like in Poland, like Krakow or Warsaw, they'd be as same, probably expensive, almost expensive as the European countries, like capitals or main cities.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it's making a change.
Yeah, it does go better now for us, I think, in the last 10 to 15 years.
Hey, do you miss any Polish food living in Ireland?
Actually, not really, because I kind of learned myself how to cook, so I can cook some of the dishes myself. Because my mom always, like, I was always helping my mom in the kitchen sometimes with stuff, so I kind of watched and observed a lot of stuff, so I think it's just still in my mind, so I can actually make those things out of even like just improvising it, and now you have, because there's a huge Polish community in Ireland here since 2006, I have loads of shops as well, so you can get all this food.
Okay.
Because our food is very similar as well to, I don't know, like, let's say Brazilian people like this as well. All the East European bloc as well, they come to our shops. So actually the Polish shops are not owned by the Polish guys or the people that sell stuff there. They all all from Lithuania, all the countries. Do you know, it's actually funny that people, it's a sort of the kind of common food for that region that, even from other countries, people find similar things, products that they like, and, they can replace it if they don't have it,
Have you found any foods in Ireland that you really enjoy that you didn't have before?
Guinness.
Guinness. They don't have Guinness in Poland?
No, I think what they have great over here, I think it's bacon itself, like rashers. Oh man, it's just amazing.
It's big, thick slices of bacon, right?
Yeah, and it's just there's a lot of things actually. Like Irish kitchen, I think is more simpler. Like it's more like potatoes, meat. Where in Poland you have it's a lot of influences from Germany, Russia, and kind of own stuff. Different, and they take a lot of time to cook. But I think over here the food is kind of more simpler, which is nicer as well, because sometimes you just want to get potatoes, meat, veg, and that's it. You know what I mean? And it's great. Like I think meat over here is a big thing. Like and I think dairy products. I think they're really good. They're really kind of made really well, and they're really kind of healthy as well. So
it's probably similar to the UK, the rest of England. I'm assuming England Irish food.
I think Irish food is better. I think so.
Really?
I think it's less processed
than in the UK, than in England.
I'd say so.
Interesting. That's good.
Then, like beer, for example, here I think Guinness, and they have a lot of lagers now these days, and other types of beers that are actually quite tasty and amazing. So
microbreweries, do they have that kind of stuff?
Yeah,
they do. So that's really big here too.
So let's say all the like IPA beers now, and you get different spirits as well, and then it's quite big. Like I'd say like the food products and alcohol, I'd say is probably one of the main sort of a industry here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sure. Apart from IT stuff.
Yeah, IT. I know IT is big there. Hey man, one last question, and I really appreciate your time, and I'm really glad I got to know you and have this conversation with you.
Me too.
In your opinion, knowing life is precious and time isn't infinite, what's the one thing that's most important to you to make sure you get done or experience or a way of living that you're using whatever time you have wisely?
Oh my God. I don't really know. I think the family. I think your family is most important. There's a couple of things in my life I like to see. Right, like I like to see definitely go to the United States one day and see that. See different parts of worlds as well that I haven't been yet. Like that I'm interested in, which me kind of planning maybe with my girlfriend someday to go there. Because she likes travel. I'd say the family needs the most important thing. The closest people that you have.
Yeah.
Because you can get money, you can get other things, and you can go visit other places and stuff like that. But if you don't have someone that supports you, like your family or a girlfriend, stuff like that, it's life wouldn't be the same even if you have all the other things. So I think that's that'll be the most important thing, I'd say so.
Very cool. Hey man, let me tell people where to find you, and if I mess anything up, please jump in and tell me. First of all, check out Michal online. Let me spell his name. It's Michal, and his last name is Kulbaka, Kulbaka. Look him up on YouTube. Please check out Samarkand, his band. Their album is just phenomenal. If you like, hard rock, you're going to love this album. It's just executed flawlessly in every single way. The production, the engineering, the mixing, it's just really great music. The playing, Michal's a great friggin' player. And you're welcome. Thank you, man. You could check them out at samarkind.com. That's the name of the band, SAMARKIND.com. There's links all over their site to get the record. You could also get it on iTunes and Spotify and all the usual places. Michal has a really good YouTube channel. It's on youtube.com, and you could look up Michal Kulbaka Guitar. Again, one last time, it's MICHAL KULBAKA. And check out
as well.
What's that?
Also Facebook as well. Check it on the Facebook, yeah.
Check them out on Facebook as well. Also, the band is on Facebook. It's, again, Samarkand, and Facebook and Instagram, and great bunch of guys, and Michal is just a really talented player, man. And I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for.
Thank you for having me on the show, because it's absolutely privileged. Among the people that you're interviewing, I actually need to start kind of looking up and have a listen more of them when I get the chance. I'm just looking like what I'm doing here.
No, man, it's my pleasure. I'm thrilled that you're here. You're a great player. You're just as good as anybody else I've had on the show, man. I really appreciate it. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did. Support Michal Kulbaka. And if you're in Europe listening to this, they're going to be playing in France. They're playing UK tours. I think Germany, we said?
It's going to be Scotland and June. It's France. France, actually. We're going to France tomorrow.
Awesome.
And then we have one festival in Ireland and then another one in UK again. But there's some more things probably coming up soon, hopefully, that's we're going to get a little bit more busier.
That's awesome. And I'm assuming there's a mailing list at samarkand.com they can get on?
Yeah, sure. There is, I think.
Great. Sign up there and they'll let you know where they're touring, and check them out on Facebook. They're pretty active there. I don't know the other guys. I know Dave a little bit. He's a great guy, excellent singer, and support these guys. They deserve it. As far as I'm concerned, they're probably they're a great band, and I don't see any reason why they won't be dominating their space in anytime soon, to be honest with you. Thanks again, Michal. I really appreciate it, man. It's good talking with you. Go to everyone. Go to everyonelovesguitar.com. Sign up to get notified of future episodes. Get on our newsletter list. And most important, remember that happiness is a choice, so choose wisely. Be nice. Go play your guitar and have some fun. Till next time, peace and love, everybody. I'm out. We hope you enjoyed this show. If you did, subscribe to the Everyone Loves Guitar podcast, and you can do this online at everyonelovesguitar.com or on iTunes. And if you like the show, please leave us a 5-star positive review. The more 5-star reviews we get, the higher our show ranks, and higher rankings mean we get to continue speaking with cool, interesting guests on our show. We'll see you on the next episode, and until then, keep playing your guitar and have fun making music.